Hey friends! Welcome back to my channel. Today is day 14 of Bookmas, and Jellybean heard that I was filming, so of course, are we surprised that he's here? Of course not. Is Jellybean's 30 seconds of fame. Let's just adore him for the next 15 to 30 seconds. Be like, oh, you're so cute. We love you so much, Jellybean. You're the best Jellybean ever. I think that's all that he wanted. So now we can get on with this video. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about very specific things in books that I like. And I'm going to go beyond genre and beyond tropes, although there are a couple of tropes in here. But Kayla from Books and Lala did this a few years ago, before I even had a booktube channel. And I really enjoyed it. And then it kind of started this trend where everyone was doing it. But again, I didn't have a booktube channel. And now that I do, I feel like I'm very late to this party, but I definitely want to make this kind of video. So today we have 11 very specific things that I want to talk about, and if you have any recommendations for any of the things that I talk about today, feel free to leave them down below. I'm also only going to give you one recommendation per category because my plan, my hope for 2022 is that I can investigate these things more and see if I'm correct in saying that if a book has one of these things in it, that I'm 90% more likely to love that book regardless of what else is in it. And so if I've read enough books that have the specific thing in it, then I'm probably going to do a recommendation video every month of this thing. I know this sounds weird, but just go with me for a minute. And of course Jellybean is acting all cute, so I'm going to give him another 10 seconds of cuteness. And then we can get on with this video. Is that okay with you, Jellybean? Okay. So the first specific thing that I really like... Oh, hold on. We have Bella here too. She's not in very many videos, so she's going to get a 30 seconds of fame herself. Right, baby? Right, baby Bella? Oh... I bet she's just trying to get up on the bed. Yep, that's all she wanted. The first very specific thing that I like to read about is realistic horror. I have realized that when it comes to monsters and demons and things of that nature, I kind of scowl and I'm like, not so much for me. But when it comes to realistic horror, where maybe things that already exist in this world that are not questioned or debated about, like monsters, I don't like reading about them, but it's funny because I actually do believe in things like the Bigfoot. It's not even that I don't believe in monsters, because I do. It's just I like the realistic, it would happen and no one would question it or debate if it's true or not, if that makes sense. Specifically, I love slashers. So my recommendation for a slasher is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. This is exactly what it sounds like. A bunch of teenagers are partying in this barn, and there is a clown in the cornfield next to this barn trying to kill off these teenagers. And apparently this is getting a sequel in 2022, and I cannot wait for it. But like I said, if you have any recommendations about slasher books, please leave them in the comments below. I live for slasher books. The next one, I actually haven't read enough books with this in it, so I don't know how I would be able to do a recommendation style book for this specific topic. But I know that I really like it in movies too. I've seen it done quite a bit in like chick flick. And that is like The Love Bet or The Dating Dare by J.C. Lee. So I'm talking about when a character is like, oh, I dare you to go out with me, but don't fall in love with me. Or, oh, you want to bet on it? And then, so, there's some kind of like love bet where it's like, okay, yeah, let's go out like 3 or 4 dates, and you have to promise not to fall in love with me, or you have to, you know, I'll bet that you don't fall in love with, or I'll bet that you do fall in love with me. Oh, no way, I won't fall in love with you. Type of fun thing like that. So in The Dating Dare by J.C. Lee, apparently this is the second in a series, but it's a companion novel series, so I think it's okay that I started with this one. I do still want to read A Sweet Mess. I think that's the first one. In The Dating Dare, Tara, our main character, has just watched her best friend and her crush get married, and she's a little bit crushed about it. You see what I did there? I'm so funny. But she goes out drinking, and she gets pretty hammered, and she's with the groom's younger brother, Seth, and he's kind of like, oh, you know what, let's date. And she's like, no, I'm like your older sister. Even though she's only 2 years older than him, she's kind of like, no way, we can't date. And then he ends up being like, well, you know what, I'm moving to London in a month anyway, so go on 4 dates with me, and I dare you to go on 4 dates with me and not fall in love with me. Needless to say, they go on their 4 dates, and I don't feel like this is a spoiler because you're reading a romance book, but, you know, maybe they fall in love. And it was so cute. I've seen this done a lot in movies, and I really, really love the movies that have this trope, which is kind of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks. Oh, that's a book and a movie that has this kind of trope. So if you have any recommendations for me, let me know in the comments below. I'm probably going to say that after every single book. So seriously, if you have any recommendations, I need these recommendations from you. The next one is Hate to Love. I found that Hate to Love is one of my favorites. So for my recommendation, I have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. There's also another one of my favorite things, which is fake dating in this, but you follow Olive and Ethan. So you follow Olive, who is Amy's twin sister, and Amy gets married at the very beginning of this book, and everyone in the wedding gets food poisoning, except for Olive because she's allergic to shellfish, and Ethan, who doesn't like buffet food. And so Amy gives her honeymoon to Olive and Ethan, but Olive and Ethan are they don't like each other. They hate each other so much. So I found this to be very snarky and very cute and sarcastic, and I loved it. I've read it 3 times in 2021. The next one is not so much a trope as just a specific thing. So I love witchy books set in a contemporary world. So I like when our main character is a witch or performs magic, but not like Las Vegas magic, but like real magic. Like Matilda by Roald Dahl. That is such a cute middle grade about a girl who can move things with her mind. Well, it's about more than that, but I love the magic aspect of that. And then The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. So I have not shut up about this book, so you're probably not surprised at all and kind of like, just get on with it. Like, get over it. But this is such a great book. You have no idea if you haven't read it. You need to. But this follows a sorority house who are witches, and they are having pledge week, so they are trying to find their next witch to pledge in this sorority. And then after pledge week, they find their new, pledges, and then people start being murdered on campus, and these witches have to investigate. I mean, they don't have to, but they think they have to, so they do. And it's very atmospheric, it's very dark, and like dark magic versus light magic, and the ending just got me so freaking good. So now I need the Monarchs. Actually, I have the Monarchs. I just got it the other day, and I'm so excited to finish. So the Monarchs is the second in the duology, so I'm gonna get to finish this soon. I like isolation or forced togetherness. So for the isolation trope, I'm recommending No Exit by Taylor Adams. In this, you follow Darby, who is on her way home to see her mom around the holidays. She's driving through Denver when this freak snowstorm starts going, and there's a huge blizzard outside. So she pulls into this rest area to stay the night there, and there are already 4 or 5 other cars there. When she gets out of her car, she sees a kid trapped in a cage in the car next to her, and then it starts this action-packed adventure that takes place in one night. So it's like, if you were in that situation, would you help the kid, or would you just kind of mind your own business? And there's a dark twist around every corner. This one is fake dating. I already talked about the Unhoneymooner, so I guess technically you get 2 recommendations for fake dating, but this one is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wong. So with the fake dating trope, like 2 people pretend to date. Usually it helps both of them for one reason or another. And in The Kiss Quotient, it's a little bit different because Stella is very, very successful. She's on the spectrum though, so she's not very good with relationships, and she hires an escort to help her be a better girlfriend, so that when she finds the right guy, she already knows how to be a good girlfriend. And then she starts wondering how she is in the bedroom, and so she is just like, you know what, I'm gonna hire you in the bedroom too. So she hires this escort, and it's such a sweet love story though. And I don't think it's a spoiler saying that they end up together, because they do. It's a romance book, so I'm pretty sure everyone expects that. But I loved everything about this book. It's like very quirky. I love the fake dating. And Helen Wong is actually on the spectrum herself, so it's own voices, which I appreciate immensely. I don't think we have enough own voices that are on the spectrum. But if you know any other authors in particular that write good autistic rep or that are on the spectrum and everything, please leave those down below. I really, really need to read more of those. The next one is like real world survival. So like a plane crashes and you're stuck on this island, which is kind of cool because I like that in my TV shows. Like Lost is one of my favorite TV shows ever. And basically they get stranded on this island and there's no way out. So with real world survival, it could be like you're camping and then this weird stuff starts happening, or plane crash, you're stuck somewhere, that kind of thing. So it's like realistic, real life survival. For this recommendation, I'm giving you One Was Lost by Natalie D. Richards. This follows a group of teenagers who are going camping with their class, and somehow they get divided, and this is their survival story in the wild. It's very, very good because you can't trust anything anyone is saying and you have no idea what is going to happen. It's very dark and atmospheric, and Natalie D. Richards has such a way with her writing. I don't find her mysteries, because she has read kind of like mystery thrillers or thrillers, I don't find them to be very mysterious. Like, I usually can guess what is going on, but I always have a fun time with her books, especially this one. I think this is the only Natalie D. Richards book where I was actually surprised by something in this book. Okay, and then something that I need to read more of because I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna love this every single time. But every time I've read it, which is only like 2 or 3 times, I have loved it. And this is like a secret society, or where there's a secret kind of society in the book. So kind of has a dark academia tone. For this one, I'm recommending All These Beautiful Strangers by Elizabeth Keloff. You follow Charlie in 2017 as she's going to this like boarding school, and there's some kind of secret society that she's trying to get into so that she can learn what happened to her mom, because 10 years before her mom went missing. And there's a lot of thrilling aspects that go on in this book, and you follow both timelines of what actually happened to her mom and her investigating in this secret society, in this boarding school, what happened to her mom. The next thing that I really, really like in books that I found out this year is a villain backstory. Like, if it's a good villain backstory where I can actually feel empathy for the villain and I don't think that they're 100% in the wrong. Or it kind of goes back to what I was talking about, I think last week, where I was talking about how some authors can make you see that life isn't just black and white or right and wrong, that sometimes there's more area in the middle. And I kind of really like that in my literature in general. But especially when it comes to villains, because everyone thinks villains are bad and we're always going to hate them. But what if you don't always hate the villain? What if you think they have a good reason to become that villain? Or that maybe the villain is just seen as a villain in the society that they live in, but maybe they're not as bad as you think. And one example of that is the Dorothy Must Die series by Danielle Page. So this is a twisted retelling of The Wizard of Oz. And in this, Dorothy goes back to Oz, and she's starting to become kind of evil. And the wicked witches bring Amy to Oz from Kansas. And it was just a really fun spin on a book that we know and love. And I actually felt for Dorothy. Like, I didn't hate her as much as you should hate a villain. The next thing that I love in my books is an unreliable narrator or an unreliable narrative. For this, I'm recommending The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. So, in The Turn of the Key, you follow Rowan, who has just gotten a nanny job at this wealthy people's house. The parents aren't there very often, but they have a smart house, so they can access the house from wherever. And then creepy things start happening, and you wonder if the house is haunted, if maybe the smart house is just kind of going on the fritz and things are weird, or if Rowan is telling the complete truth. And then when it all comes together and you figure out what the heck is actually happening in this book, it is amazing. This is probably one of my favorite thrillers of all time. So I love the unreliable narrative because you have no idea, like, if she's telling the truth, if you can trust her, or if she's a little cuckoo. Like, she starts off in jail for committing a crime that I am almost certain she did going into this book. And she is writing to an attorney to help represent her, and through the letters you get what happened in this house. And it was so much more twisted and dark than I thought it would be. And it was awesome because it was so unreliable. I was just like, I don't think you're telling the truth through the entire thing. And then the last thing that I found that I loved this year is one that I still want to investigate more because I haven't read a whole lot of books with this element in it, but I love books about royalty, and for this I am going to recommend American Royals by Catherine McGee. This is an alternate history book, which is yet another thing that I want to kind of investigate more, if I like that every time it's done. But in this book, this follows the Washington families generations after George Washington has died, but this follows after, instead of becoming president of the United States, George Washington was the king of the United States. And this is what would have happened if we had a king instead of a president. And it's just really good. You follow 4 different people. You follow Princess Patrice, Princess Samantha, Daphne, and Nina. Daphne is the prince's ex-girlfriend. Nina is Princess Samantha's best friend. And Princess Patrice is the one who is next in line for the throne. And there's a lot of drama, a lot of relationships, and it was just a real fun time. Honestly, it was just a lot of fun to read. And I know that I've read a couple other royalty books that I actually really enjoyed too. So my guess is that anything that has some kind of royalty in the contemporary world, I would love. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below. So those are the 11 specific things in my books that I love don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you tomorrow.